the lady that I was doing transcription for called me just out of the blue and said, hey, I have a new account, and they have a lot of doctors, and so could you maybe do some more transcription? I was like, yeah. What is it? And she said, it's orthopedics. I said, okay, fine, no problem. Hung up the phone with her and had to go look up what orthopedics was. Had no clue.
What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, owner of Swamp Rabbit Moving, and my buddy Ray Mack with Mack of All Trades, and also a real estate agent with the Damian Hall Group, is out today. Nevertheless, we got a special guest, Nancy Davis. I am super excited to have you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. So I think we got to know each other about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was just first starting out. We met in the Fab Five group.
Yep.
Ever since I met you, I've just loved you, adored you.
Aww.
Such the sweetest lady and just an awesome personality.
Thank you.
But anyways, so tell me about what you do, Nancy.
Well, I own a medical transcription business,
Okay.
which I have owned for 20-some years. And I'm also an artist, which is a relatively new thing. I've done that for about 5 years. So, but I've always kind of had a side gig.
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit earlier. You said you've been in the medical transcription business since high school, essentially.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I started out doing medical transcription at a mental health and counseling center. I would get out of high school and go down there and transcribe. That's all I did, was just transcribe. And I loved it. And so I never did it as a profession, though, full time until about the year 2000.
Okay.
I've always kind of done it on the side, no matter what I've done. When I was a real estate appraiser, I would do transcription on the side and so on and so forth. So when I was a real estate appraiser, that was during the time that the terrorist attacks happened on 9/11, and the bottom dropped out of the real estate market, and I found myself without a job. Like,
wow.
I lost my real estate appraisal job. And at the time, I was doing transcription part-time, thank goodness, for a lady, and I was petrified. I'd never lost my job before. I was like, what am I going to do? So the next day, the lady that I was doing transcription for called me just out of the blue and said, hey, I have a new account, and they have a lot of doctors, and so could you maybe do some more transcription? I was like, yeah. What is it? And she said, it's orthopedics. I said, okay, fine, no problem. Hung up the phone with her and had to go look up what orthopedics was. Had no clue. I just knew that I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of what my dad taught us kids is, I don't want to say fake it until you make it, but essentially that was it. He was like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. You just have to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's what I did, and it just kind of morphed from there. I did that full-time, working for somebody else, working for her for a while, and then I went out on my own, got my own business, pounded the pavement, as you know what that's like, and got my own clients and turned into my own business.
Absolutely. So from the time, well, let's step back a minute. So what exactly? There's probably a couple people that doesn't know what is a medical transcriber.
So when you go see a medical provider, you go see your doctor, he or she somehow has to get the information into your chart, and so now many of the doctors do it themselves. They use voice recognition software.
Yeah.
Which was a big hit to my business, unfortunately, several years ago, and I had to learn to adapt. But so basically what they do is the doctor will dictate into a dictaphone and send me his or her dictation, digitally online on a secured server. And I sit there and listen to it and transcribe it into a word processing program, and then zip it back to them, or else put it in the patient's charts.
Is that how they bill the insurance? Is that what it is? Are you essentially a middleman between a doctor and the insurance company, or?
No, medical billing is a completely different thing.
Okay.
So I'm just charting the patient's visit.
Okay. Because it has to be laid out in a certain format.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Makes sense. Awesome. So you said you lost your real estate appraisal job.
Yeah.
Was it like did it seem like the very next day you were full time in the business?
Yes.
Is that when you were doing it as a side job during your real estate appraisal, were you the owner of that company, or was it like when you lost your appraisal job, you went full time and started your own transcription business?
I was still, when I lost my real estate appraisal job, I was still working for a lady who owned a medical transcription company. So I was transcribing for her. You know, she had her clients, but she had more work than she could handle, and so she was filtering some of it through me.
Okay.
So I was still working for her. But then about a year later was when I decided, I'm gonna get my own clients. I'm gonna go out on my own. So that's what I did.
Absolutely. How was that? What did it look like? Like, did you already have clients, or did you have to drum up some clients?
No, I literally did my own marketing in WordPerfect. I remember making up flyers and going around to doctors' offices and handing them out. I remember going on Google and finding lists of medical providers in the Greenville area, sending them direct mail and following up with phone calls and all that. And there's another thing that my dad taught me is, when you don't have a job, your job is to find a job.
Absolutely.
So that's what I was doing.
Out there hustling.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you said, I heard earlier, you said something about now there's a software where they can just kind of speak into the phone.
Yeah.
So how'd that take effect on your business, and like, what are you doing to like kind of pivot around that situation?
Well, several years ago, doctors' offices, there were many independent doctors' offices, meaning they weren't part of a big hospital system. And so they were free to run their businesses the way they saw fit.
Yeah.
And so they would go out and find medical transcription companies like me and send all their stuff, to me.
Okay.
So there was a point in time when I had lots of clients and 6 employees, all working remotely. And that's the beauty of this business too, is you work remotely. So I had employees in Texas, Missouri, California, Oregon.
Wow.
So, but what happened then, I guess it was about probably 6 years ago, big hospital systems started buying up independent doctors' offices. And the hospital systems spent millions of dollars on expensive software to incorporate everything from medical records to billing to you name it.
Yeah.
And they forced the doctors to use voice recognition software.
Oh, man.
And the doctors hated it and still hate it. So anyway, long story short with that, they were no longer free to do what they wanted. So they couldn't send their transcription to me anymore, or their dictation to me anymore. So a lot of that went away. And one of the hardest things I have ever had to do is let loose of employees. That's really hard, because we're independent contractors.
Yeah.
And, tell somebody you don't have a job anymore is really tough. Jeez. But, you survive, and we all survived it.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to retain 2 clients who have been able to remain independent.
Okay.
And so one of them has been my client for 18 plus years, and the other one 14 years. Yeah.
Almost lifers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And to me, that's a testament to
The job you do.
the job I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're great with customer service.
I love customer service. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's backstep a little bit on this, having to let employees go and how hard that is difficult. But as a business owner, if you want to run a successful business, it's just part of the job.
Yeah, it is.
And it's probably the suckiest part of the job.
Yeah, as you know.
So how'd you muster up, like, did you have to do some preparation, like building up courage? Did you have to like practice, or is it just kind of like you knew you had to do it and that's just what you did?
Well, I knew I had to do it. And frankly, when you're an independent medical transcriptionist, you know that that's always a risk.
Yeah.
So the people I had working for me, it didn't exactly come as a surprise because we knew the industry. We knew that this was what was happening.
Yep.
And that medical transcription was kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah.
So, when I made the phone calls and everybody took it really well.
That's awesome.
Because we had been down that path before. That wasn't our first rodeo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard because you build relationships with your employees, as you know.
Absolutely.
And they become kind of like family and like friends. There's a fine line there.
Absolutely.
But it's all good, and I still keep in touch with some of them, and they've gone on to other things, and it's all good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You still got do you have any employees now, or is it just solo?
Just me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just me.
A little bit easier to manage though, right?
It is, yes,
just a little bit more workload.
Yeah, so about a year ago, my workload was increasing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
For sure.
But I was also into my artwork.
Yeah.
And I was finding it difficult to do both. So I tried to hire a transcriptionist. It was a disaster because we're practically dinosaurs now. It's really hard to find. Like, nobody gets into the medical transcription field right now.
For sure.
So it was really hard to find someone qualified. And I just said, no, forget it.
Just
I'll
keep
do
doing it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I remember, it was funny you were talking about that. I remember when my family doctor was taken over by a big regional hospital.
Bingo.
I remember it was probably 2013, 2014, because everything changed. You started getting emails about your charts, all this good stuff. So it's kind of funny. And is that around the time, like when it started happening?
That's when it started happening.
Oh, 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you're also an amazing artist. I've gotten a couple of things from you. You kill it. Is acrylic, right? It's like your thing, or no? Some kind of ink.
It's alcohol ink.
Alcohol ink. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that started was about 5 years ago. I started making bottle lights. Like, Greenville County stopped recycling glass, and so I had an excess of wine bottles, liquor bottles, and they were really cool looking. I was like, well, what can I do with these? Like I said, turn them into a business, think outside the box. So I started making bottle lights, and that's when I discovered alcohol ink, which is something not a whole lot of people know about, but it's a really interesting art medium. It's very flowy, it's very translucent. And it was beautiful on the glass, and so I'd put it on the glass, and sell these, put lights in them and sell these bottle lights. And that was great, but I wanted to do something else. I didn't want to do bottles, forever. So I started doing wall art with the alcohol ink. The thing about me, too, is I'm self-taught in a lot of things. I had 2 years of college, but that was it.
Yeah.
And so life is my university.
For sure.
So I just watched tons and tons of videos about how to do alcohol ink artwork and just loved it. And met Ashley Brickner, who you know, and she invited me to have my artwork in her gallery, Open Art Studios in downtown Greenville. And so I did, and I started out as what we call a shelf partner. I'd have little pieces, on the shelves down there, and then I went on to kind of bigger pieces, and then I rented wall space from her, and then I rented half a studio room from her, and now for the last 2+ years, I've got my own room in an art gallery.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's just morphed. It's morphed.
Were you doing art before? Like, have you always been doing some sort of art?
Never. I mean,
Never?
I joke with people and say,
So you've never done art besides from
Never.
like 5 years previous?
Never.
That's insane.
I flunked out of arts and crafts in kindergarten. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I can't even draw a straight line. I'm so bad. But that's awesome. So self-taught artist, but relatively new artist.
Yeah.
And you do amazing work. I got one of your pieces hanging up in my living room.
I know.
It's
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah.
That is awesome. So how'd you tap into art? Like, what made you, did you go do like one of those wine and
No.
paint picture things?
Never.
And just decide you liked it,
I could
or
never
what?
do that because I'm not a realistic. I can't do anything realistic.
Yeah.
I can draw a stick person. That's about it. So I've never taken an art class. I don't know. I just, like I say, I watched videos. I watched artists who I admired, other alcohol ink artists.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned is how to put my own spin on things.
Yeah,
I like to do things that nobody else is doing.
for sure.
And that, frankly, is what has helped me grow my art business. The best way to get me to do something is to tell me that I can't do it.
Absolutely. Put a little pressure on you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can't combine this and that, and you can't do this. What are you doing? Watch me.
Absolutely.
Just watch me.
I love it.
So then again, that morphed into the custom tumblers. As you know, I make custom tumblers.
Yep.
I don't even remember how that got to be a thing. But I discovered, that I could do this artwork on tumblers. And Ashley Brickner, thanks Ashley, said last year, she said, you should make some of those and put them in the Prince of Peace craft fair in November.
Yeah.
Well, that was September when she told me that. And I had maybe 40 of them made at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, so between September and November 5th, I made 120 pieces
Oh, wow.
and took them to the craft fair and sold probably half of them,
That's
half
amazing.
my inventory. So it's become a thing.
Is that right around the time where you started getting that new equipment where you put the cup on and it spins it and stuff?
Yes.
I remember that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so I have 15 turners now, and I could use more turners, actually.
Yeah, you're just pumping those things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how long before? So you decided you want to do alcohol ink. You started studying it. How long after do you think you were comfortable enough to actually make a business out of it?
Right away.
Right away?
Yeah, right
Like you
away.
just picked it up right away?
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Well, now, when I look back at my earlier pieces, I'm like, what was I thinking? But people liked them and bought them, so I guess I was doing something
Well,
right.
I think that's a key thing is not waiting to be perfect. It's just go ahead,
You can't wait to be perfect.
be
You-
vulnerable.
Yes, be vulnerable, try
out there.
things. Don't be afraid to fail. We're going to fail,
Absolutely.
but we're going to learn from those failures.
Absolutely. And that kind of ties into mindset, like you were saying earlier, tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's next for you? Like we were talking earlier, you said you're niching down.
I am. I'm finding my niche. I love doing the tumblers, but I'm finding that now groups and organizations are coming to me and
Yeah.
wanting me to do stuff for their organizations, for their events, and I've got some big. I have my eyes on some big things that
Yeah.
I'm working on, and
Can you give us any hints? Or you going to keep the cat in the bag?
New York City.
Yeah?
That's
Nice.
about all I can say about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
People you would recognize if you saw them on TV, their businesses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It'll take a little while, but
Yeah.
but it's in the works. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know if it's in the works, you'll make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Between your two businesses, let's start with the transcription business. What was the biggest bottleneck that you think you had in that business, and how'd you overcome it? So, was it when they shifted to the voiceover CRM or whatever it was, or was there something in the beginning like managing teams,
Managing teams has not been a problem
Yeah.
for me. No,
Yeah.
not at all. I had never done it before, but it seemed to come natural to me because I like to listen to people. I like to get to know people, and that's how I work. When people are working for me, I don't treat them like
less than.
Yeah, like less than.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're a team member. I don't expect my employees to do anything that I wouldn't do, and I'm right there with them.
You got to lead from the front.
Yeah.
Or the back.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was the bottleneck that what do you think was your toughest problem?
The toughest problem was trying to retain clients. When all this was happening and the doctors were being absorbed by the hospital systems, I would go in and talk to my doctors, to my clients, and we would try to figure out how I could retain them.
Yeah.
And it was just beyond their control, and it was beyond my control.
For sure.
I mean, some of them tried to slip in through the cracks, and they would, some of them would send me their work.
Yeah.
But that didn't last long because
sure.
they got caught.
Yeah.
So
no,
but no, that was hard. There are just things that are out of your control.
Yeah.
But you learn to roll with it, and you take what's given to you every day, and you can either curl up in a ball and give up, or you can get up the next day and figure it out.
Absolutely. And so in your art business, what's been the biggest bottleneck so far? Is it that, you don't have enough hours in the day to pump out tumblers and wine glasses, or is there anything else?
That's it. It's just time, because my medical transcription comes first. It has to.
Yep.
People will say, when are you going to do the artwork full time? Well, I'm not equipped to do that right now.
Yeah.
That would be foolish now, because with my medical transcription business, number one, I don't want to leave my clients in a lurch.
For sure.
Number two, I have no overhead.
Yeah.
100% profit.
Yeah.
When I do my transcription. And I work from home, so I have it made. It's awesome. I'm not going to give up that blessing that God has given me. So, but my passion is the artwork.
For sure.
So, in between work assignments, I'm out there mixing up epoxy and doing the artwork. And then in the evening, my poor husband, I don't cook anymore. I don't. When I'm done working at the end of the day, I'm out to my studio in the backyard and working. So it's a time issue.
For sure.
But I will say too that if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, whatever, if you have a supportive family, that means everything.
For sure.
I mean, my husband has been sanding tumblers for me, sanding and prepping tumblers, and
that's amazing.
Cooking. My thing is, if you just feed me, that's taking care of me. That's supporting me.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think having a good support system is huge.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that my wife's super supportive.
Absolutely. Can you imagine doing your business if she wasn't?
No, I could not. I really couldn't. I would have to either spend a lot of money on, the stuff that she helps me with, and, a therapist for emotional support.
Yes.
Or I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's really good when you have a good support system.
Absolutely.
Makes life a lot easier in such a stressful situation. So have you ever thought about like automating any of this stuff? Like, you're going to automate your artwork, production lines?
I wish I could. I look at people like you and people who own a business where you can have have to have actual employees to do things. I can't really do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could hire an apprentice to come in and do, prep work and stuff like that. But I've automated it as much as I can.
For sure.
It's all me.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then that means it's mass produced and it's not artisan made.
It takes away from the actual what it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
I mean, I try to automate things as much as I can. I have to be sort of an engineer in order to be efficient.
Yeah.
I have to I'm making Christmas ornaments right now. and I have tons of orders for Christmas ornaments, and I'm like, I only have 15 turners. How am I going to be able, to make all these ornaments? So I have to kind of come up with ways to do it. But
Get
I like
multiple
that part.
ornaments on one thing or something.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
That's awesome. So, transcriber, artist / engineer. What other kind of accolades do you have under your belt?
Cat mom.
Cat mom.
I have 4 cats.
Oh, what's their names?
Stormy, Lily, Ziggy, and Peanut.
Okay.
And they're all rescues.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, one of these days, I would love to have a cat sanctuary.
Yeah.
All the kitties could come and get food and shelter and medical care and just live there for the rest of their lives.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Has that having that passion for cats, have you been able to take anything you've learned from that and roll it into business or?
Yeah, I've had to learn to keep cat hair out of epoxy. It's true.
Are any of them? So I had a cat one time. I'm not a cat person, and this is why. When my daughter was born, I got her a cat, right? His name was Rocky. Super cool cat at first. One day he just freaking spazzed out, like bouncing off the walls, attacking her. She was like 1 year old.
Oh, you can't have that.
And then after that, never again. They just freaked me out a little bit after that because he was so cool, so calm, treated well, and then
That's really unusual. That is unusual cat behavior.
I don't know if she was torturing her in her bedroom, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But it was just super weird. And ever since then, I just have not been a cat person.
I don't blame you.
So what that has taught me in business is if you don't like something, just move on.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah. So let's see. We talked on anything else you want to touch on?
My goal in coming on here was to help other people who are maybe, I don't know, struggling, or maybe they want to do something. They're like, oh man, I wish I could, do this business or that business. Yeah. I would just say, do it.
Yeah.
Just have the mindset and do it.
Okay.
Don't go plumb crazy and quit your day job, so to speak. But if you've got a passion for something and you want to turn it into a business, find good people who will mentor you and help you and support you, and just do it.
Absolutely. And I think like you said, the thing to it is not to don't be afraid to fail. How many times have you failed throughout your career? Multiple.
And sometimes you have to eat crow. Sometimes, you have to say, I made a mistake.
Absolutely.
How can I fix this?
And I think every time I've failed, it's been the best learning process. That is where when I fail directly after that, I know a big win's coming because I learned something in that situation, and I know how to move differently now. So I think failing is the biggest teacher in business. So it's important to get out there. I'm actually kind of eager to fail now sometimes. When we're starting a new avenue, starting something new that we've never done, I'm eager to go ahead and push it out before it's perfect. Mm-hmm. And I'm ready to fail. I'm all right, when am I going to fail? Because when I do, something positive is going to come out of that for sure. So I think that's huge.
It is huge. And the first few times you fail, man, it's hard.
It hurts.
It's humbling. It hurts. And you just want to crawl under a rock, and it's humiliating.
Absolutely.
But you get over that, and you learn to rise above and take accountability. And like you say, okay, what's next? That has empowered me.
Yep.
What's next?
And the more you fail, the more you realize it's going to happen. And when it does, the biggest thing is just being able to course correct quickly.
Yes.
I think that is probably the number one trait in an entrepreneur, is being able to make quick, decisive decisions and not second guess yourself.
Right. And don't
It's
run
huge.
from it. Yeah.
A lot of people out here, they're so meticulous and they're so slow to act because they want to make the perfect move and all this. 10 years later, they're at the same spot they were at before.
Yeah.
And it's all because they're scared to move the needle.
Yeah.
It's about jump quick, jump fast, and then, if you fall in a puddle, get up and keep moving. You know what I mean?
It's a great way to put it.
But awesome. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Always a great honor to hang out with you, get to see you.
Well, that's why I came on here today, because I never see you anymore. I don't go to network marketing. I mean, I don't go to networking events or anything. So I was like, how can I spend some time with Chris? No.
Here we are. Well, I'm glad you did, and I'm so happy that you came, and I can't wait to drop this. I think there's a lot of value in this, and people can
I hope so.
really grab onto this and learn from it.
I hope so.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.